welcome to the one and only Team 2.
Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome to Talking Boxing. I almost said walking boxing now. I say it every bloody day, so I'm just used to it. But this is Talking Boxing. And as always, great to be along for everyone out there. Thanks for everyone that's tuning. I see there's a lot of comments in the chat. If you haven't been on here before, all you got to do is put your comments, questions, opinions, whatever it might be, in the chat there, and if it's respectable and makes sense, then it will be 100% read out. So if it's not, then I can't guarantee I will. But it's fight week, and as always, there's always controversy. Now, Tim Tszyu, of course, is fighting Joey Spencer on Sunday, Australian time, that is, Saturday night over wherever you might live if you're not from Australia. And there's controversy today with the judges. Now, apparently, when the fight was signed, Joey Spencer was promised three neutral judges. One Australian judge and two neutral judges. And apparently they've been told today or yesterday, whatever it was, that there will be three Australian judges. So how do we feel about that? One thing I will say, and I did see a lot of comments throwing shade at No Limit. No Limit don't actually decide who the judges are. However, if it is in the contract, they can actually say, we've both agreed and we want to have these judges come in. If it's just putting on a fight night, take it from me being an ex-promoter, you put the fight night on, you pay your fees and all that sort of stuff, and the combat board delegates the judges. So that's on a normal basis. But as I said, you can actually, by mutual agreement, have one judge for maybe each and a neutral judge, whatever it might be. So, well, I'm not blaming No Limit for the judges that have actually been picked. It is actually their fault as the promoter, if it is in the agreement with Joey Spencer that they have one judge from Australia and two neutrals, then that is on them. Because if it hasn't been requested to them by No Limit, then the combat board will just delegate three of their judges and away we go. So I hope I've clarified that just a little bit. So just to go over it again, so No Limit, if it's just a normal show, they would delegate three judges for them from the combat board. However, if it's requested by No Limit and the other parties, then they can have whoever they want representing the judges at ringside. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. Look, I think it'll all get sorted out. I wouldn't be surprised if they might fly someone in or get someone from New Zealand or somewhere. I'm not sure, but I'm sure it'll be solved. Maybe there'll be monetary payment. I'm not sure. But, look, my opinion of the whole thing is that Joey Spencer, if that is the case, has got every right in the world to be jumping on his soapbox and having his say. I think it's more so his dad, isn't he, as his trainer. But if that is the case, I don't blame him for being pissed. We will see. As I said, I'm sure it'll be worked out. All right, so I'm going to go over the comments that are already in there. And I'm just going to refer to my side screen here. Actually, I might bring it in here so I can see it a bit better. Just my little screen on the side there. Where are we? So I can see the comments. All right, so Big J in the chat. How are you, Big J? What do you got there? It's Tszyu fight week. Tim needs to make an emphatic statement on Sunday or it's curtains for him. He will still get the Thurman fight with victory, but he needs to put the 154-pound division on notice. Yeah, I do agree with you to some extent there, Big J. I'm not sure he needs an emphatic statement. What he does need, though, is a win. So if he doesn't win, then I agree. His record, well, his career at that elite level, and only just got there, by the way. It's not like he's been there for 5 or 6 years. He just got there, I mean, the year before with those wins over Harrison and Mendoza. So it's not like, as I said, he'd been like a Jeff Fennick, been at the top for 5 or 6 or 7 years. He literally had 12 months at the top, and it was gone in an instant. But I think it would be curtains for him at that level. However, I think, and I don't think he'd want to go that way anyway. I've got a feeling that if he can't beat the Joey Spencers of the world, you would have to get the feeling of why would you continue on when the money here is not going to be great, and you're just going to be a domestic level fighter. He's financially set. So, look, a lot of decisions will have to be made. Let's hope it doesn't get to that. But I don't think he needs an emphatic statement, Big J. I just think he needs to win. What do you say there? He'll still get the Thurman fight with victory, but he needs to put the 154-pound division on notice. I think there'll be a lot of 154-pounders out there taking notice anyway, Big J. They'll just be looking at, with just a side eye to what's happening in this fight. Those top-level guys, even the Fundoras and those they'll all be Ortizes, they'll all be looking with an interest on what happens with Tim. But as I said, I just think he has to get the W, and then he has to get past Thurman. That's when I think it'll be time to say, okay, boys, I'm back. But until that Thurman fight comes and he beats Thurman, I think he's just going to be on ices for a little bit. But, yeah, I think they will be on notice, Big J, but just not on serious notice, if that makes sense. All right, so still with Big J there. Where's your next comment? It's all over the place. All right. Okay, this is the continuation, is it? This is about Tim. Has to, so let everyone know he's still a threat and a contender at the Division 154. Super stacked, about 12 fighters could all be champ at one time or another. Wish Tim all the best against Spencer. Yeah, I'm with you there, mate. Of course, we wish him all the best. And he's going to have to be at his best to beat Spencer. No doubt about that. I think, again, I've said it a few times. I've got no doubt that Joey Spencer is custom-made for Tim, and he's been brought in to make Tim look good and maybe get a little bit more confidence, but at the same time also being a semi-name in the division. He's not ranked or anything, but he's got a bit of respect out there. So it'd be nice for him to have that emphatic victory, Big J, but I just think they'll be relieved just to get him on the winner's board, I think, and then they can focus from there. And the only thing I'm conscious of course, I always say, I just hope that the Australian boxing media and all the fans out there just don't put the bar too high for starters. Even if he stops Spencer, I'm not going to be convinced at all until he gets past Thurman and gets himself back. I'm hoping he gets a win, of course I am, but I'm not going to be convinced of his level or what level he's at until he gets past Thurman. That is the test. All right, so still with Big J. What do you got there, Big J? What do you got? 4, 3. You got one more. All right. Having said that, says Big J, all is not lost if Tim loses. He can easily go to 160 and be a contender at that division. I'm actually surprised he hasn't done it already besides Janabek, sweet FA going on at 160. Yeah, it's not a bad call either, Big J. I think, look, it could still be on the cards. You never know. He started his career at 160. Who knows? He might get past Spencer. He might even get past Thurman. And then who knows, maybe Fundora and Ortiz and Bolachok and all these fighters there, Charlo might come. Maybe they're all intertwined. Murtazaliev, of course. Maybe they've all got fights lined up against each other, and there's not really a path back for Tim to a world title. Maybe he might do that exactly, Big J. Maybe he might say, well, while these guys sort themselves out, I'm going to go to 160 and maybe pick up a belt there. Not as easy as a lot of people think it is, though, because you've got Carlos Adames in the WBC. You've got, of course, Janabek with the WBO and IBF, and then you've got Lara in the WBA. So certainly not an easy path either. Now, I agree that the 160 is nowhere near as stacked as the 154, but the champions can go a bit. And you've got Hamza Shirazi in there as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's probably is good in theory, Big J, and the path to a world title fight will probably be a lot easier at 160. But, geez, once you actually get there, as Michael Zarafa found out the hard way, those guys can still fight. So, yeah, some fascinating times ahead for Tim Tszyu if he can get past Joey Spencer. All right, Tom's dad, Naz. Where are you there, mate? Oh, there you are. Evening all. Loving my new boxing deep dive jumper. Good stuff. Great quality. Get your merch, guys. Thanks, Naz. Yeah, and just look down below for the links to all the merchandise there. We do actually sell a little bit, surprising. There's all sorts of things in there. I just got excited and just put everything on there. But, yeah, it is good stuff. Naz, I've got... Well, there you go. This is my favourite thing here. This is my little teddy bear, my boxing deep dive teddy bear. But I think I've got a hat or a bucket hat, actually. But I am going to get a beanie for those winter months that are on their way. But yeah, I agree with you, Naz. The gear is pretty good. So guys, if you want a t-shirt or a hoodie or whatever it might be, or a hat, or the teddy bear, go right ahead. The store is down below. All right. Still with Naz. I feel like Saavedra is on Tim's card for a reason. Already known in Australia from Hardman and Tapia fights. Could be setting up as Rafa pay-per-view. Maybe, Naz. Maybe. Although has come out in the last couple of days, according to Australian Boxing Central, that Zarafa might be in line for a world title fight. And I did get that wrong on walking boxing too, guys. I think I said it was a WBC. He was ranked number 11. It's not. His Carlos Adames, of course, is the WBC champion. I think it was the WBO. I think. No, was it? I think it was the WBO. Whatever one of the belts. What's the other bet got? The IBF and WBO. So it might have been the WBO, I reckon, that he is ranked number 11. Either one. But that's the fight they could be setting up. We've seen it with Thurman coming out to fight Brock Jarvis. Could we see it as well? And we had Janabek come out and take care of Andrei Mikhailovich. So I'm not sure. Yeah, well, is it Saavedra? Is he a super middle or is he middleweight, Naz? I'm not sure, actually. He probably won't be on the rankings. All right. Yeah, no, I doubt it, though, Naz. I doubt it. I think they'll be saving Zarafa. I think they'll want to keep Michael Zarafa winning and then still have those potential Tim or Nikita fights there and then a world title fight on the side. Saavedra doesn't bring a lot to the table except risk. And I don't think at this stage of his career, Michael Zarafa, unless it is a world champion or one of the zoos, he's prepared to take that risk. Saavedra, as far as I know, is not ranked, is he? Let's just have a quick look. You've got me interested now. I just want to see. So he's not Saavedra. Is he middleweight? Hang on. Sorry, guys, to keep you waiting there. I don't think he's. No, he's not ranked. So it can't be that. I'm going to check the super middleweights. I don't think he's ranked in there either. He probably should be. There's some fighters he should be ahead of in those rankings there, but no, he's not. There you go. Sorry, guys. I'll get back on track here. But, yeah, who knows, Naz? We will see as the as time goes on, I suppose. Michael Zarafa, if this world title fight is out there, well, let's get it going because Noonan boys come out and set it on Oz Boxing Central. Let's get it going. All right, Double G. George, I think I've got that. Yeah, I have. Yep. George Rose can't help himself. In the Fox Sports interview, a big win against Spencer, said George rockets him back into the mix for Charlo, Thurman, Fundora, Spence, and Ortiz blockbuster fights that can happen next. I did comment on that the other day, Double G, on one of the Walking Boxing episodes. And I just... My request to George Rose, and I understand he's got to promote the fight, he's got to promote Tim, he's got to get it out there, he's got to create headlines, I get all that. But George, just zip your lip, mate. We don't want to hear it. And I got a feeling Tim and his team wouldn't want to hear it either. Can we just maybe wait? Look, after he, hopefully beats Spencer, then hopefully he beats Thurman. Hey, go for it, because that's what I said before. If he beats Spencer and then Thurman, well, I think he is back to where he was. Bring on those guys. But I don't want to hear this now because there's no reason for anyone, and I know Tim and his team have been fantastic, by the way, but George Rose, mate, just let's get through this week, okay? We're all going to buy the fight. Don't stress. We all want to see Tim back. So just relax and then maybe wait until he beats Thurman. Hey, you get the momentum sort of going for the Thurman fight, and then you can go for your life. But I just don't like this talk coming out of Tim's camp, and it's not really his, obviously his managers and that sort of stuff. It's his promoter. That's why they call them promoters. But I don't like it. I just would think George would just shut up. Okay, George, if you're watching, please be quiet. Okay. All right, we'll go to who's that? Dr. Wang. What do we got there? Dr. Wang. I'm trying to get these in order for starters, by the way, too, guys, and then we'll move on. All right. Hello, Mr. Boxing Deep Dish. Okay, it's dive. It's obviously a spell check. I hope the day is lovely. Thank you, Dr. Wang. You're obviously from Japan, I would think. In a way, called out Junto to a fight at the Tokyo Dome. I did see that, Dr. Wang. That will be some schedule. Cadenas, MJ in September. Junto early 2025. 26, I would think. Yeah, that is there. And a 126-pound champ next summer. I did see that, Dr. Wang, and I think it's fantastic. The fact that they've just started it now. Now, if it's going to be early 2026, you'd think it'd be sort of January, February, whatever it might be. The fact that they've actually finally come out and put it out there for everyone is the first step, and I love it. So let's hope both these guys get through 2025 in one piece. In a way, still got, 3 fights? I'm sure Junto Nakatani will probably fight twice more. Excited already, Dr. Wang. Can't wait. All right. Where are we? All right, Double G. Apparently, Joey Spencer. Oh, this is about the judges. Apparently, he was promised a neutral judging panel. 1 Australian judge and 2 internationals. Today's dad said now at the last minute we're being told it will be 3 Australians. Yeah, as I said, Double G, not great, mate. I don't like it, and it shouldn't happen. Regardless of whether it was in the contract or not, you would think a fight of this magnitude, they would have, it's okay to have 1 Aussie, but have 2 neutrals. Preferably 1 American and then 1 neutral on top of that. But I'm surprised this is an issue, 5 days before the fight? 5 or 6 days before the fight? Doesn't make sense. I'm sure they'll sort it out, though, as I said. All right, there is M&M. Where are you there, mate? Hello to you. Yes, Tim Tszyu fight week gets the juices flowing. Certainly does, mate. And I sort of hopped out of bed this morning and, for the walking boxing, and it's like, yes, let's go. You can't beat fight week. And especially this fight with Tim. It means so much. I think the body language has been good with Tim. As I said before, I think his whole rhetoric and the whole thing with speaking matter-of-factly, not going off track. I know he's sort of been caught up just a little bit, but nothing to get concerned about. And I really like the fact he's concentrating on this fight and he's focused and ready to go. Hopefully we can get this judge thing sorted out very, very quickly and we can get on with it. We don't need this stuff sort of going deep into the week. But, yeah, it's exciting to see what's going to happen. As I've said a few times, I just want him to get the win. That's it. Doesn't have to look overly great. Just get back on the board, win this one, and then look good against Thurman. That's what I think he needs to do. All right. Dry turkey. Got some all sorts of names in here tonight, haven't we? All right. Zapeta. I think I've got that right. Yeah, I'm in the right order. Yep. Zapeta has relentless pressure style. He's exciting, but lack of power allows for his opponents to succumb to his onslaught. I could see Farmer left from the injury. He didn't have the pop. How did you score it? Look, I still had Zapeta winning the fight, Dry Turkey. I'll probably have it 7-5, maybe even 8-4. I thought he dominated the early part of the fight. You could have even made a case for one of those early rounds. What was it? Was it was it second or something? Was it one of those early rounds anyway where he had Farmer in all sorts of trouble? Could have been a 10-8. Look, Farmer really surprised me. I thought Zapeta would win clearly, and I know a lot of people said that or thought that Farmer won the fight. I just don't think he did enough. He came home very strong, and that's what I said as well this morning, Dry Turkey, about Zapeta. He's just got one speed, and that is put him in overdrive from the first second of the first round, and that's the pace he goes at for the whole fight. And I just don't think it's sustainable. Now, you'll overrun those sort of, B and C graders, I suppose, but once you get to those A graders, now, Farm, I'm not quite sure he's ever an A grader. Maybe an A minus, definitely maybe a B plus. He actually weathered the storm and then came back over the top of Zapeta late in the fight. And you've just got to wonder how the Tank Davises would react. I did question whether Shakur Stevenson had, the mettle to go with Zapeta, but if he did, I'm sure that he would expose Zapeta later in the fight as well. He'd pick it up a little bit because Zapeta does tire, and that's to be expected when you fight at 100 miles an hour for every single minute of every round. So I think Tank Davis would stop Zapeta. I think he would easily go with Zapeta's work rate early in the fight, and then he would put him to the sword later in the fight, I think. Keyshawn Davis, sorry, I'll get it right. Keyshawn Davis is probably another proposition as well. I think he would still have enough to beat Zapeta, even though he's pretty inexperienced. I've just got worries about Zapeta, though, whether he can do it against those A graders, though. Good fighter. He's relentless, all right. Throws a lot of punches. Couldn't get Farmer out of there, though. And if he can't get guys like Farmer out of there when he's got them hurt, I'm just not sure whether he can mix it with those top guys. Look, I think I suppose if you look at it on paper, you'd have to say maybe Keyshawn Davis would be his best bet. Then probably Shakur Stevenson. But I certainly wouldn't put him in there with Tank Davis. Lomachenko, of course, is another proposition. I think, look, he might have a chance against Vasily Lomachenko. When you think about it, Vasily Lomachenko is only a small guy, 36, 37, whatever he is. He's not the strongest type of guy, not the biggest puncher. Could he keep Zepeda off him? He's certainly got the angles and the speed and the kid of punches, but it'd be beatable, I think. I would give Zepeda a chance against Loma. But definitely not against Davis, and maybe not the other Davis as well, both Davises. But I had it probably 7-5, maybe 8-4 dry turkey. Still with you, I have Shakur schooling Zepeda as long as his hands are good. Well, that's the other thing, is if Shakur's hands don't hold up, geez, you'd want both hands 100% if you've got someone like William Zepeda coming at you, because he's just not going to stop. And it's not that Shakur's a big puncher anyway. And if you've got those brittle hands, and maybe you do injure one of those hands against Zepeda, but even if you don't, just his overall power, I've got doubts he's going to be able to keep Zepeda off him. If he boxed smart early and maybe didn't engage and let Zepeda maybe punch himself out a little bit and just picked him from a distance and then pick it up in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, maybe you could see Shakur sort of running over the top of Zepeda. But he would give them all troubles, apart from Tank Davis. But as I said, Turkey, I've got concerns about Zepeda, whether he can mix it with those real top guys. All right, Mark. Where are you, Mark? I've got you there somewhere. Sorry, guys. I'm just getting... I think I've got this order right here, have I? I'm going to start from the top anyway. I'm going to get away from what I'm looking at the screen here and just go through them. All right, now, Asbot, I haven't seen your comment, but Double G agrees with it. I'll get to it in a minute once it sorts itself out. Cannot vouch for accuracy as I read it on Fox Sports website, so it could be no limit media hype. This is, I'm assuming, the judging fiasco as well. So, yeah, I agree. Cal Jane, so excited for Saturday night. It's man or mouse for Tim. I'm assuming you're from overseas, Cal, but yeah, whether it's Sunday or Saturday night, doesn't matter. It's massive stakes for Tim, Cal. As I said before, if he doesn't beat Spencer, in my opinion, it's curtains as far as any chance of getting to the top tier goes. 30 years old now, I think he is. It'd be 3 losses in a row. The promoters and everyone wouldn't want a bar of Tim over there after that. It's either domestic scene or bust. So, yeah, massive stakes, Cal. Let's hope he can come through. All right, we've got a super chat from Andy. How are you there, mate? Thanks for the $10. Really appreciate it. Hello, boxing fans. Tim versus Spencer will tell us how Tim is mentally after being stopped by Buckram. Naowa offered out Junto for Tokyo Dome in 2026. Smash that like button, folks. Yes, if you can do that, guys, it would be very much appreciated. Yeah, well, as I said, Andy, the fact that they're just starting the ball rolling, or the ball rolling, whatever it is excellent news. Fantastic news, and let's hope as we go it gathers momentum. We've got another super chat there. We got Dennis Green. Hi, Dennis. $5. Thank you very much, mate. Hi, all. Given that Oz Boxing has a reputation for biased judging, you'd think they'd ensure neutrality. Is that the word? Neutral judges, I'll say, for such a big fight. Bad optics, disappointing. Look, I'm with you there, Dennis. I don't think it does a lot for our reputation. If they hold firm and say, sorry, 3 Australian judges, and it is semi-close, look, maybe we don't even have to worry about it, but I think it's still a bad look, the fact that we've got an international fighter coming over to fight, which is pretty much a eliminator for anything at 154, that they would get it right. And it just, if I was overseas and being a fighter or a manager or whatever it might be, I'll be looking at this saying, well, we're not going to send guys there because they can't be trusted. And look, even to some extent, the Yanabek Alam Kanuli scenario when he came over and the way he was treated by Peach Boxing, whatever his name is, and Mikhailovich, and the way they were so disrespected by them and not being pulled up by it, I would have thought No Limit would have pulled Mikhailovich and Peach aside and said, boys, we're trying to build our brand internationally here. This is not doing us any favours. And we always, well, I personally get, You've got to have the barbs and all that sort of stuff. I understand things get out of control sometimes, but it's always been a criticism I've got of No Limit, is because they don't pull their fighters in the line. I don't think they realise that the fighters aren't just representing themselves, they're representing No Limit. So I must admit, if I was in their shoes, I'd almost be having a code of conduct contract, or code of conduct portion in the contract where they talk to these guys and say, hey, okay, you can go do your thing, but don't cross the line. And I think Mikhailovic definitely crossed the line with Janabek. I know I'm getting a little bit off track here, but it's always staggered me that they have these massive events, massive exposure, and they allow the fighters to get on there and carry on like idiots. And the swearing, and I understand there's a bit of push and shove, all that sort of stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. But when the Fs and Cs and all that get dropped on there, I just don't think it's good for anyone, and especially No Limit's reputation. But I'm getting off track there. In this instance here, with the judges, Dennis, 100%. They should rectify this. If it's been an oversight, maybe they've just neglected to think of it. Maybe they had judges organised and they just haven't let the combat board know, or that would seem, very, very, what's the right word for it? Very unlikely that would happen. But no matter what's happened, they need to fix it, and fix it quick. All right. Mark, yes, Inoue just called out Junto in Japan. Yep, at the JBC Awards. They shook hands for Tokyo Dome next year, most likely around May. Well, start saving, guys. Not that there'll be probably any tickets available to anyone else around the world. It'll all be just the Japanese crew with a VIP sort of treatment. But that'll sell out, no problems. And geez, it'll be great to be there, wouldn't it? Cal, what do we got there? Now they're talking Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul, such fake bullshit. Yeah, well, I won't give that too much time, Cal Jane. Disgraceful, that is. Surely it's a joke. Surely it is a joke that Anthony Joshua is even considering fighting that clown. Anyway, still with Cal. Still love Monday nights. Thank you. Hope the pub's going great. Thanks, Cal. I know the order of that's probably mixed up for now, but no, it's going really well there. Thanks, Cal. We've got the fight this Sunday. So if you're in the Bendigo area, drop into the KO Lounge. All the action starts at 11 a.m. So I'm hoping we get a few down for that. I'm really hoping we get people down for what they're charging us for it. So come on down if you're in the Bendigo area, and got it on the big 98-inch screen. Actually, we've got 3 screens in there, 2 85-inch screens and a 98-inch screen, and they'll be on all 3. So come on down and get a pizza or something and make a day of it. All right. All right, Asbot. I think this is your comment from earlier. Hi all, Tim's mindset going in the Spencer fight, reset, back to normal, or damage goods? Well, that's the big question, Asbot. If he wins, it's reset. If he loses, of course, it's, as I said, mate, it's all over. I know that's blunt, but it's all over. Not so much his boxing career goes, because he'll always be a name and he can always fight on the domestic circuit, but I'm just saying, as a 30-year-old, losing a fight like this would be curtains. I'm 99% sure that Tim will win this fight. I know that might be famous last words, but I've just got a feeling he's going to win this fight. So, and if he does that, again, I'll say I just don't hope, or I hope everyone doesn't get carried away and they just keep in check, and let's get excited after he beats Thurman. Then we can maybe look at that level again. All right, we'll get back on here. What's that, Mule? Opatai needs to get it together. Actually, what's your first comment there? Why does Opatai keep fighting tin cans? I had to drop him out of my top 20 pound for pound. His best win was an old Breeders, who he struggled with now. It's been a bum-bashing tour. Zudo is doing more. Opatai needs to get it together. Look, Mule, to some extent, I'm with you there, mate. Look, he hasn't got a great resume, does Jai, but that doesn't mean he can't fight. I've got no doubt that when the opportunity comes against the Zerdos and maybe Benavides of the world and all those types of guys, that he will be the real deal. But I have to agree that until he beats those guys, we can't really take him, for the ultimate real deal. Now, I've got no doubt, as I said, Jai's up to it. But he needs to have an opportunity to show it. And so far, apart from the Breeders' fights, he hasn't. And you're right, Zerdo's probably got a better resume. But I'm still backing Jai Patai to beat Zerdo Ramirez if and when they fight. So And I don't think he'd be overly happy, Mule. I think I said on here last week. I got a feeling what's happened is Zerdo, of course, has agreed to fight his mandatory, which is what was it? It was Junior Dordicos. That's how you pronounce it. He's fighting him in his mandatory. So Jais has taken the keep busy fight against the number 14 Claudio Sguayo, who I have seen some vision on YouTube, and that's not going to be pretty. But I've got a feeling they've said to Jai, look, just take a voluntary, then we'll get Zerdo later in the year. And if he doesn't get Zerdo, then maybe it'll be someone else. Who else is out there? Who knows? It might be Badu Jack or Ryan Raziki if he's available, if he beats Badu Jack. So there's some options there. But I'm with you. I wouldn't say he needs to get it together. I just think his promoters need to get it together and get him the opportunities. It's not Jai Pataya who's saying, I don't want to fight these guys. It's certainly not his team saying he doesn't want to fight these guys. It's just that Zerdo Ramirez, the only real creditable guy at the weight, I know Badu Jack's probably in there as well, but for me, they're the two main guys. It's not really Jai's fault that Zerdo's decided to fight Dordicos instead of Jai. And I think it's just a keep busy fight, and then they'll hopefully go again at the end of the year, and we get the fight we all want. All right. We'll keep going there. Mark. Dana Coolwell in a fight this week with Albert Chop Chop Gonzalez. He's trained by Robert Garcia. Thinks he'll be his next champ. Looks like they're feeding Dana to the US prospects now. I don't like it, Mark. Jeez, he's gone from Shoo to Chop Chop. Look, I'll be honest, Mark. As soon as I see a fighter being trained by Robert Garcia, it's very, very hard to tip against him. He is such a good trainer, a great trainer. I won't say good, he's a great trainer. And if Robert Garcia is saying that Albert Gonzalez is his next champ, well, the odds are he's going to be far too good for Dana Coolwell. Now, look, full credit to Dana Coolwell as well, going over there and giving it his best shot. What I think, I get what you're saying there. It looks like they're feeding Dana to the US prospects now, but it's not like, I suppose, was he competitive against Carrington? Maybe not. As long as he's not getting knocked around, I don't begrudge Dana for going over there and fighting these guys. If he's getting well paid and not getting knocked around, then keep going over there. Losses, whatever. Isn't that better than staying here in Australia and fighting, as someone said before, the tomato or tin cans, whatever they are? I think he's the type of fighter who says, you know what, I don't want to fight on the cards over here and knock over these lesser lights for no money. I'm going to fight. I'm going to take a risk, but at least I'm going to be paid for it. I'm open to that. Now maybe Dana, look, the odds are, look at what he's doing now, he's not going to be fighting for a world title, but you never know. Weirder things have happened. I just think he's decided to say, all right, well, I'm just going to try and be the best fighter I can be and get paid well to do it. And if that means I've got to fight these US prospects, well, so be it. Now, he could probably come back to Australia and fight with Tasman fighters or No Limit or whatever it might be, and maybe fight lesser lights and build his ranking up and not get paid anything, and then get fed to these US guys you're talking about. Or maybe he can just go over there and give it his best shot now. I know there's arguments for both sides, but I don't mind what he's doing. As long as he's not getting knocked out or whatever, or taken advantage of, I'm all for it. You only get one shot at it, Mark, in this game, and why not, fight the best and get paid for it. But the fact that Albert Gonzalez is trained by Robert Garcia, if you've got some money, I hate to say it, but I'll be putting it on Albert Gonzalez. There's Glenn. How are you, Glenn? Yeah, Matzi, 48-kilo wrecking ball. Oscar Colasso was impressive again yesterday. He is very impressive, isn't he, Matzi? Who did he fight yesterday? Was it Kano? Was that his name? It looked very impressive. So at 48 kilos, what is that? Light fly, isn't it? 51, yeah, it's light fly. Where is it? Let's see where he ranks in the scheme of it. Is it fly? No, flyweight's 51 kilos. 48 is light fly. So, is it junior fly? If I just mix that up. Either way, he's a very, very good fighter. No, he's a straw weight. Sorry, straw weight, 105 pounds. So the WBA and WBO champion. Who was it that he beat yesterday? Yeah, Kano, I think it was. But there's not a lot for him there, though, is there now, Mutzy? So maybe, hey, could we see him step up to, junior flyweight? It's a big step up to 108. Not really a lot there for him either, but he could be another dominant young little champion. He could, I won't say he's in a way standard, but he could be the real dominant fighter of that part of the division down there. But I did watch a Mutty, and yeah, he's very, very good little fighter. Glenn says not sure about Tim at 160. Power's not there. Yeah, good call, Glenn. Tim's not a big puncher, more an accumulation puncher. Yeah, not a bad call, Glenn. Jack Pierce Boxing. I honestly think Zoo still isn't right. He said he still doesn't know exactly what went wrong against Murtazaliev. Don't know if he's just being cagey, but if he's being serious, that is crazy. Well, I think we all saw what happened, didn't we, Jack? He went to do a left rip to the body and dropped the right hand and wore the left hook, and it was pretty much all over. So that's what went wrong. And also, well, that's what got him caught. But I think, again, we can all see what went wrong is he went out there and forgot about his boxing skills and being patient, setting his opponent up, setting traps, all that sort of stuff. He just went out there with the mindset of just walking through Murtazaliev and paid the price. That's what went wrong. So I would have. Yeah, that's surprising, Jack. I didn't actually see him say that, but if he did, maybe he was taken out of context just a little bit. I think Tim, even though he hasn't actually watched the fight, I'm assuming he does know what went wrong and what he didn't do right. And if he doesn't, I would expect that his trainer would. They'd be working on all this stuff in camp, trying to fix that problem. Because again, when he goes to the body, he's not the only one that does it. You watch a lot of fighters do it. They don't bend the front knee enough, and they go to the body, and automatically, if they don't bend the front knee, the right hand drops. It's just an automatic thing. So if you're out there boxing, this is my little weekly tip. On the Boxing 101 is if you go to the body for a body shot, bend the knees. Okay, you got to get down low. But yeah, we can all see it, Jack. So let's hope his team can see it. But I think maybe he's been taken out of context just a little bit there. Hopefully. Glenn says nobody wants to fight Opatai, especially Zerdo at this stage. And yeah, that's what I was saying, Glenn. I don't think it's Opatai's fault that he's fighting this guy. I don't think he'd be rapt about fighting Sequeiro at all. But it's like, all right, I want to fight. I'm a fighter. I want to fight, so just give me somebody. And this is who they've come up with. And it's not a bad strategy. I mean, we want to keep Jai winning. We don't want him to fight, not that there's many around at cruiserweight, but there's no use fighting those top-level guys if you've got that Zerdo fight right there. Maybe it's a big money fight. Maybe they've both been promised this big fight in Saudi later in the year. But you can't blame either guy for not wanting to take any risks. I mean, Zerdo is probably fighting Dordicos because he has to. If he doesn't, we have no unification fight, do we? He loses that WBA belt. I know he's still got the IBF, was it? No, Jai's got the IBF, of course. WBA and WBO, yeah. So he would lose the WBA belt. Still have the WBO, but that's one more fight that Jai's then got to have to try and unify that WBA belt. So, look, it's a business, remember. So, yeah, again, it's not Jai's fault. He wants to fight Zerdo. Zerdo has chosen not to fight him, so I don't think we can lay the blame at Jai's feet. Jack, what do you got there, mate? Also, I don't know if I'm going crazy, but he was working the bag, and it looks like he is a tick. This is Tim, where he keeps rubbing his forehead with his glove every few punches. A lot of fighters have ticks, Jack. A lot of fighters. If you actually, speaking of Tim, and I think Costa used to do it as well. Maybe even Nikita does it, where they'll rub the glove up and down their nose. They'll just scrape it, and they actually to the point where the nose gets really red. Look back, Costa used to do it all the time, and as I said, I'm pretty sure Tim and Nikita both do it as well. But you look at a lot of fighters; they all have different little things they all do. I'm not quite sure of Mike Tyson's one he had in his last fight though. He was biting the thumb of his glove. He did say that he's done it in all his fights. I've never seen him ever bite the thumb of his glove, so it must just be a new one, and hopefully the last one. But yeah, I haven't seen that though, Jack. Mate, look, if it is, I wouldn't read too much into it. It's just a thing that most boxers have. They're all got OCD and everything in different aspects. That's what a lot of those elite athletes, not just fighters, have. Because it's all about routine and schedule for those guys, and sometimes it affects. I know it used to happen to me all the time, and still does. What's that? Motorsport. Great to have old mate Big J input on the show. Geez, don't pump him up too much there, Motorsport. Eminem, yes, Janabek defends his belts this weekend. Now, that is... Now, who was it against? It was another... who was it? Where is he? It's middleweight, super middleweight. Sorry. Who was he fighting? Oh, I haven't got it on. I haven't got Box Rec up there. He is defending his title in Kazakhstan this weekend. Now that you've said that, now I've got to look at it. Give me a sec here, guys. I'll just type his name in. All right. Yanabek. Now on Box Rec, it's Zanabek Alam Kanuli. So he's fighting. Oh, I don't even know how to pronounce this. Anuel Nagamizengi, Engu, or something like that. That's who he's fighting. It's in Astana, Kazakhstan. So good luck with that. Yanabek defending his IBF and WBO world titles. Should be a good fight. All right, I think. I don't know anything about this guy. His record's 14-0. The guy is fighting, so he's from France. Okay. Born in Congo, and his nationality is French. So there you go. All right, Drew Keeley. Actually, he's just with Glenn. So he agrees with Jack. Something seems a bit off with Tim. Well, we'll see on Sunday, Glenn, won't we? All right, Drew. A year ago, Spencer as an opponent would have been largely criticised, but given Zoo's successive losses, I think it's a legitimate crossroads fight in terms of opposing skill and status. Yeah, no, Drew, you're right. But I think we've all, including Tim, had the wake-up call that, maybe Tim wasn't at that level at that time, and he's got to come back. It was one of those things, one step forward and two, if not three, if not four steps back for Tim. But as I said before, it's a perfect fight for him. You're right. Spencer a year ago would have been seen just as a tune-up fight or whatever. Now it's seen as a crossroads fight and a vital fight. This is the most important fight of his career. And I know he's had a few big fights, but this is the most important fight. Because if he doesn't win this fight, then it is curtains, unfortunately. Daniel Smart, how are you there, mate? Incredible fight between Zapata and Farmer on the weekend. Farmer incredibly brave. Zapata can give any of those big names at 140 hell. If any of them are willing to fight him, he's dangerous. Yeah, he is. Yes, as I said though, mate, I've still got some reservations about. No doubt he can give them hell, but whether he can go that next step. I sort of give my rundown of what I think he'll do against the champions earlier, but yeah, look, he's definitely capable. I just worry that he couldn't get Farmer out of there when he had the chance. So at the moment, what is he? The WBC interim champion, which means I don't think he can be rated by anyone else. No, he can't. So the Stevenson fight makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? Although we will see what happens with Keyshawn Davis and Vasily Lomachenko. Plenty of big fights, but he was brave though, Daniel, wasn't he? Farmer, I thought he was gone. But he came back, he dug in, and a lot of people thought he actually won the fight. Naz, Michaela Mayer looked the goods on the weekend. Hopefully Lauren Price up next. Price beat Jonas a couple of weeks back, and Jonas beat Mayer last year. Yeah. Look, I said this morning, Naz, I was really impressed. I like watching the females at the elite level. They're like skill-wise just as good as the men. And what I liked about yesterday's fight is that both girls didn't just go out there and just throw punches like a lot of the girls do and just hell for leather. That's a good avatar you got there too, by the way, Naz. I like your you got the boxing deep dive avatar there. Good stuff. But I thought both girls fought at a 3-minute pace, so they really picked their shots. They were patient, very calculated. They both threw some really good shots. I just thought Jonas threw more punches, was a lot stronger. Her punches had a lot more sort of oomph on them, I suppose, if that's the word. And I just think Sandy Ryan, even though she's a good fighter, just sort of lacked in a couple of areas. And I just thought Michaela Mayer is a very, very good fighter. And that fight with Price is pretty good. I did see some highlights of her fight with Jonas a couple of weeks ago. And you're right, she did beat Mayer last year. So some good female fights out there. And as I said, at the elite level, the women are such good, like little fighters. So, yeah, if it's like that, I'll watch those fights any old day. Drew, given a huge journey back to the top with endless obstacles, winning streaks and moving parts, do you ever think Team Zoo would ever entertain a rematch with Murder Zaliev? I think that's a negative there, Drew. No. I think look, who knows? Look, Tim is the type of fighter who might look at that fight and say, look, if he does beat Spencer and then beats Thurman and maybe wins a version of the world title, you never know. He might go, you know what? I've learned enough out of that experience with Murtazaliev and the fight since then. I want to take another risk and have a crack at Murtazaliev. But geez, it sort of reminded me, Drew. I know it's all fantasy, but the first Clubber Lang Rocky Balboa fight in Rocky 3. That's how devastating it was. And Tim Tszyu would have to look himself in the mirror like Rocky did, maybe change trainers like Rocky did as well, and really face his inner demons to go up against Murtazaliev again, who did such a demolition job on Tim last time. So it's a good question. I think if the timing was right and it all added up, I think it's possible. But not this year, of course, because Tim's got Spencer and then he's got Thurman. Next year, you would probably think he would look at, where's he rated at the moment? Well, he's rated, I still think he's in the IBF here, number 10. And I think he was ranked with the WBC. Where was it? Maybe he's not ranked anywhere, actually. No, he's not. Well, that's really strange. He's only ranked with the IBF at the moment. But look, what I'm trying to say is, say Fundora can't get the Spence, or he's not going to get Crawford, but can't get a big fight either, and Tim's coming off the Thurman win. Look, you never know, and he gets Fundora, then he might look at Murtazaliev. But so you may as well say the end of 2026 if it's ever going to happen. By that stage, Murtazaliev might have gone up to middleweight. He might have fought and lost to someone else, an Ortiz or somebody. You don't know, but I think it would happen possibly, but I've just got a feeling it's not going to come to fruition for any time soon, not for another couple of years. G'day, mate. This is Carl. How are you, Carl? The boxing kangaroo. What's your thoughts on Parker's latest interview? The guy has the personality of a tin of peas. Is that Joseph Parker? Is it Carl, or is it someone else? Just I haven't seen the latest interview. I've seen a lot of his memes or whatever he does, the videos online. But I haven't seen his latest interview, mate. And I would have thought he was always a good interview with Joseph Parker. So, anyway, let us know, mate. But I missed it. Glenn asked the same question. All right, Eminem. How about Mikhailovich going from main event fighting for a world title in his last fight down to way down the card, fighting a 6-rounder versus Blake Wells? It is a massive slide from grace, isn't it, Eminem? Now, I'm just going to quickly have a look at that card. And you're right, he's not even on the main card, which is just staggering. And Blake Wells, that's a tough fight. Blake Wells is a good fighter and he can punch. Not an easy fight at all. I think Blake Wells is a live chance to beat Mikhailovich. So, what do we got? Let's have a look at the event. I don't think anything's changed. But yeah, it's a 6-rounder. Wow. So he's got, Tim and Spencer, Mazudia, Dan Hill, Saavedra and Nielsen, Grutch and Taliva. So all good fights. Not so sure about the Saavedra and Nielsen fight. Not really excited about that at all. Couldn't care less. But Mazudia and Hill will be a good fight. Grutch and Taliva will be a ripper. And Mikhailovich and Blake Wells. Get your popcorn for that one. And the rest of them, not really stressed about. Callum Peters, you'll probably get another knockout. Cooper O'Connell, great to see him make his pro debut. But Cody Beacon and Ryan Day, Brent Walton, Isaiah Seti, good to have as sort of stocking fillers, I suppose. But the main card will be just okay. Just okay. But the Mikhailovich and Wells fight, apart from Mazudia and Hill, will probably be the fight of the night or day. OG Lights Out, how are you, mate? Yeah, I'm very well, thanks, mate. I hope you are as well. Daniel Dubois says, Carl, sorry, not Joseph Parker. I didn't see it, Carl, but I have seen previous interviews. I'm not sure which one you're referring to, but yeah, he's, I don't know, it looks like he's, what's the best way to say it, or the kindest way to say it? I think he's had some learning difficulties growing up, I think, Daniel Dubois. But he can fight. That's all that matters, isn't it? Glenn says, that's better. Joe's really good on camera, but yeah, Daniel is a bit odd. Yes, he is a little bit odd. Yeah, I was going to say, I was trying to get my head around Joseph Parker, an interview. I'm thinking, geez, I haven't seen anything about Joe. He's always a really good interview. Any updates on Nikita? Good question, Eminem. No. I've heard that, well, just on the slide that maybe it's going to be, what was it, the May one? Was it the end of May? No, or June, whatever it was. But on the Cairns card, it might be June 11th, was it? I've heard that he's just maybe not struggling, but just not in the most motivated state at the moment. There was word that maybe what happened to Tim shook him up a little bit. I don't sort of believe that. But some others have said that, yeah, his whole outlook on boxing at the moment might have just waned a little bit, and they just want him to take a step away and get himself focused again and then come back. Because as we know, boxing's not the sport you want to be in if you're not 100%. And if he's maybe dropped back to 85, 90%, maybe they've just said, hey, Nikita, because he has been very active since he's turned pro. Maybe they've just said, look, go away. I think he went overseas as well. So, yeah, no dramas. He's still young enough. And these days, mental health is, they're all over mental health these days, aren't they? So maybe they've just noticed that maybe he's not, well, I'm not saying in a bad way, but just maybe his attention levels or his motivation levels aren't what they were. And they've just said, mate, go and take a break and come back. But I have heard in June, Eminem, if that's the Cairns card, that's the one I think they're looking at with Liam Paro on that card as well. Drew says, just like Demetrius Andrade and Gary Russell Jr., I haven't seen too many other current careers as badly managed as Zapata. I have my doubts about when he will finally get a legitimate name. Yeah, well, he's promoted by the Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya. Look, he's I wouldn't say he's been badly managed. I mean, he's fighting, he's winning, and he's the interim champion, so his shot will come. But I'm with you. He does need a big name. The Maxi Hughes of the world ain't really going to cut it. Tevin Farmer isn't really going to cut it. He needs a scalp. He needs to fight. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Let's have a look at the. So I mean, I don't think he's going to fight Andy Cruz. That's not going to happen. Who else is out there who could fight? Maybe he could fight Frank Martin. That's not a bad name. Maura Taylor. I think he's going to fight Keyshawn Davis. Not a lot of names really. Apart from those champions, the names aren't big names. So maybe the one I'm looking at there would probably be a Frank Martin. Not going to be Lamont Roach because he's fighting Gervonta Davis again. Well, we'll see. I don't know. I'm with you there, Drew, but I don't think he's badly managed or promoted. I just think things haven't gone his way yet as far as getting that big scalp, but I'm sure they will. Eminem, surely No Limit announced some of those upcoming cards on Sunday. Yeah, well, I think they've already done that, Eminem. I think we went over this, didn't we? I think it was. I'm just going to have a quick look while I want to see if it's still on the website. Now, where was it? What's this here? I probably won't be on here, guys. I'll just have a quick look, and I'll move on. But they did announce who was on the dates. I think Sam Goodman. I won't guess, but I'll keep going down the list here. Might be a bit too far down the list. Sorry, guys. Give me just another 10 seconds. No, doesn't look like I can find it. I'm pretty sure though. Sam Goodman was in Sydney. Liam Paro and Nikita were in Cairns, and Callum Peters had a date as well in there as well. So, yeah, that's yeah. All right, I'm not going to keep looking, although I can't help myself to keep looking. I'll just have a quick look as we go, guys, but I'll keep the comments coming. All right, Drunken Boxing. Hey, just dropped in to say hello and give a like. Bit under the weather at the moment. All good, though, listening, mate. Good stuff, Drunken Boxing. Thanks for listening in, mate. Great to have you along. Carl, Richard Torres, Guido Vianello. Looks like a decent fight. About time. Okay, I didn't see that one. I need to get on your websites there, guys, because I didn't see that one. No, I'm still looking for those No Limit events. Actually, would it be on? Maybe not. Maybe on the. Hang on. We might be in luck here. Just hang on. Persistent. All right, here we go. This is confirms. All right, so April 6th this week, Newcastle Zoo versus Spencer. May 14th in Sydney, pay-per-view, Sam Goodman will make his return. So May the 14th in Sydney on main event pay-per-view. June 11 in Cairns on main event pay-per-view. Likely Liam Paro. You would think not likely. You'd think it'd be a given, seeing he's from up there. So that's June 11th. July 6th. Looks like it's going to be Tim Tszyu, Keith Thurman. He's got to get past this week, of course. Liam Wilson could also be on that card in a world title fight. So it'll obviously be a pay-per-view. July 23rd. Callum Peters looks like he'll fight Kira Rustin on the No Limit on Fox Sports events. So just quickly again, April 6th, so this weekend, Tszyu Spencer. May the 14th, Sam Goodman. Sydney on a pay-per-view. June 11th, Liam Paro, possibly Nikita Tszyu in Cairns on pay-per-view. July 6th, Tim Tszyu, Keith Thurman, and maybe Liam Wilson world title fight on the Gold Coast, also on pay-per-view. And then July 23rd, Callum Peters, Kira Rustin on No Limit on Fox. All right, got past that. All right. Glenn. Yep, the Torres fight is a step up. Guido can fight. Yeah, he can. And Richard Torres is a good fighter too. Not sure whether are they ranked, these guys in the. I know Torres probably is at heavyweight. So he's ranked 14 with the IBF. Who's he fighting? Guido. Yep. Guido Vianello. Is he rated? I'm not sure he is. He is 15th with the WBC and 15th with the WBO. So that's a good fight. Yeah, and you're right, Glenn. He can fight for sure. There's pound for pound king. How are you there, mate? All right, Eminem. Yesterday was the first time I've seen Tevin Farmer fight. Has always had that tick where he puts his chin in the air. As I said, mate, they've all got their own little ticks. As long as he doesn't get hit, he can do what he wants, I suppose. All right, Jules, evening all. I hope to see Tim do more than just win. Spent almost a year in US after Mendoza, but didn't get to show any of it versus Fundora or Buckram. I just want to see him box. Yep. Yeah, and look, who knows, Jules? Maybe when he was in the States for a year, maybe in those gyms he was sparring at over there, maybe it was just a matter of dog eat dog, and he had no choice but to become a dog, and dig in. Because before that, he was a lot more patient. Maybe the sparring partners obviously weren't as good as he was getting in the States, so he could probably take his time a bit more, and maybe that hard sparring made him sort of be a bit more aggressive. I'm not sure, but I'm just hoping the fact he's come back to Australia, we might get back to the Tim of old and at least give himself an opportunity, because he's not going to win those big fights fighting the way he did against Buckram. I mean, you can see guys like Virgil Ortiz and those guys really chopping him up, and Boachok as well if he fights that way against them. Mule says Thurman will dominate Tszyu. Well, he looked good in his last fight against Jarvis, Mule, but let's not get Tim Tszyu confused with Brock Jarvis. And I know Keith looked fantastic, but he has been out for a while. But if you're an elite fighter like Keith Thurman is, what he did to Brock Jarvis is what he should have done. So, but as I said, mate, Brock Jarvis isn't Tim Tszyu, or Tim Tszyu isn't Brock Jarvis. So I'm not sure he'll dominate Tim. I still think Tim is good enough to beat Thurman, although he did look pretty impressive against Brock, did Thurman. But yeah, I'll probably make more of an assessment after I see Tim's fight on Sunday. But again, I just want to see him win. Doesn't have to look overly great, just get the win. Drew says, I have Tszyu betting Spencer on points, but I honestly believe the fight will be highly competitive, and I'm not ruling out a perceived upset victory for Spencer. Yeah, well, it's possible. Anything at this level is possible, Drew. I think the Tim we saw prior to the Murtazalia fight should be comfortably beating Spencer, but we just don't know the mental scars that the Murtazalia beating put on Tim, because that's something that's very hard to recover from. I'll tell you what gives me a little bit of hope though, Drew, and that is, remember back to 1984. A lot of you weren't even alive then, but I was like 9 or 10 years old or whatever. And Thomas Hearns fought Roberto Duran, and Thomas Hearns absolutely flattened Roberto Duran with a right hand that would have knocked out an elephant. And down went Duran face first, and his career was thought to be over. And he came back, ended up winning the WBC. It was 5 years later, by the way, WBC middleweight title against Iran Barkley. But he was able to come back and regain his career without a problem. So that gives me a little bit of hope with Tim. But that was a clean knockout. That was one punch, bang. Tim had 3 rounds or 2 rounds of absolute hell against Murtazaliev, and you can see the look in his face during that fight that he was like, he's all over the place. This look of shock horror on his face. And almost like, what the hell is going on here? Can you just lighten up a bit? I'm supposed to win this belt. So can you just relax and let me do my thing? And Murtazaliev wasn't having any of it. So that's probably the main difference between the two fights. But whereas Duran's was lights out with one punch, Tim was prolonged over 3 rounds. And all fighters react differently to beatings and losses. Who knows? Tim might not have any repercussions whatsoever, but he might go out there and be awfully gun shy and get overrun by Spencer. This is what's so fascinating about it. Jules, you know who didn't benefit from the disrespect towards Janibek? Mikhailovic. That beating could shave years off his life. Yeah, geez, it was a beating, all right. I don't think it'll be too much for Mikhailovic, Jules. I think he's the type of guy. Look, his was a little bit different to Tim's. Tim's, of course, was like the 3-round, like multiple knockdowns. Mikhailovic, even though he got dropped, I think it was in the 2nd round, it was a prolonged beating from Janibek, and he stopped it ended it when he wanted to end it. I think Mikhailovic has got this bit of swagger about him. He won't care. He just loves the fight. Is he going to fight Isaac Hardman? That's another question as well. I know Isaac's out there looking for a fight at the moment, looking for someone that's going to stump up the cash for this fight to happen. Doesn't like No Limit's going to do it. So it'd be a shame if Isaac was lost to the sport because he can't get a decent payday. But No Limit, wouldn't you think, as far as their content goes, pay both of them $50,000. That's what they're worth. Give them the money. This is the fights that Australia wants. I don't want to see this pay-per-view with Sam Goodman fighting a Thai or won't be a Fijian probably, but fighting a European or whatever, a South American. Save that money. I want to see Mikhailovic and Hardman fight and give them $50,000 each. 75 each. They've got the money. They're going to generate it. Spend the money wisely, guys. Although I know that Sam Goodman's in line for a world title and these two aren't. But if you're looking to put something back into Australian boxing, Mikhailovic and Hardman are the fights we want to see. Mule says one time. Yes, you've said that, Mule. Shadowboxer, back when you were fighting, were any of your fights ever personal? What I mean is, did you ever square off against someone you genuinely wanted to beat up? Nah, never. Shadowboxer? No, never. Nah, it's just business. No, I don't think it was really anyone. No, I can't think of anyone, Shadowboxer. I was just get in there and do your thing, but no one that I actually legitimately... Actually, there's a couple of fights that I lost and got a rematch. I was super motivated, but it was never really about wanting to hurt them. It was just righting the wrongs. And I think I pretty much won nearly every rematch I ever had, but it was more so just doing things right and getting the job done, not so much about, genuinely wanting to beat them up. All right, Jules, if international judges have not been appointed, there's no way it's an oversight. New South Wales Commission would have set officials weeks ago. Plenty of time for No Limit to sort it out. Yeah, it's a good point, Jules. You're right. I mean, I think they had 10 weeks. I think Joey Spencer's father said this fight was signed 10 weeks ago, and those contracts were signed with having the neutral judges. So, yeah, no, it's a good pick up there. But you're right. They have got time to sort it out. It's not too late. And all they might need is a judge from New Zealand and a judge from, I don't know, somewhere within the region. They can fly over pretty quickly. Get someone from America. It's only Monday. Fly them over on Wednesday. They'll be here on Thursday. Happy days. But they need to sort it out. Andy, Naoya versus Junto will be lit if both remain undefeated up to it. It is being declared as the biggest fight in Japanese history. Well, that is a given, Andy. 100% the biggest fight in Japanese history. Naz, agreed. Carl, Torres versus Vianello will be a ripper. I'm pretty sure Vianello was one of Joseph Parker's sparring partners in his last camp. Good rounds for him, yeah. That'll be a good fight. Because Torres hasn't really been tested either, has he? A lot of wins by knockout, but that's a good test for both guys. All right, OG lights out. Mule, there's one fighter that won't duck anyone. That's Jai. He will fight anyone. It's all political boxing crap. Yes, very well said there, mate. Polly the Farmer. People should at least be a chance to get Inoue versus Junto tickets. For tickets to Inoue fights, people apply for them, then they ballot them out. Okay, well, I'll definitely have to do it for that, Polly the Farmer. Would you have to maybe be a resident of Japan to maybe get those tickets? They sort of keep things in-house, don't they, over there, the Japanese? But either way, look, I don't care if I'm there or not. I just love to see the fight. It'll be a ripper. Probably I suppose you could throw Jesse Bam Rodriguez in there as well, but probably the biggest fight, well, not the biggest fight, but the fight that I most want to see in boxing at the moment. All right. Thanks, Talking Boxing, for our weekly boxing discussion. Fix, counting down the days till Sunday. Let's go, Tim. Though not a fan of the nickname they give him, Tim the Soul Taker. Yeah, leave that crap out. Yeah, it's not the best nickname, is it, the Soul Taker? I don't like it. Surely they could think of something better for Tim. Let's think of some nicknames there, guys. What nickname should we give for Tim Tszyu? Definitely not the Soul Taker. I'm with you there, Motorsport. I don't like it. Although I remember, was it Andy Maloney? I used to like his nickname. He changed it to the Monster, which is obviously a few people have got that. He used to be called the Little Bull, and I used to like that name. Not Little, Lil. The Lil Bull. Brian Butler gave him that nickname, and I used to like that. Jason Maloney, he used to be the smooth one. I wasn't so stressed about that, but I like Mayhem. It's not too bad, Mayhem. And there's a few good names. Shotgun for Shannon O'Connell. Anyway, give us a good nickname for Tim Tszyu. Tommy Ruckus, what do you got there, mate? I saw someone mention Janabek's fight this weekend. Is there any chance of a fight with Lara or Adames in the future? Well, let's hope so, Tommy. I mean, this is what I said earlier. The middleweight with the champions, there's some ripper fights there. I know Adames will probably fight Shiraz again, probably in Saudi end of the year, but geez, Lara and Janabek just makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? And neither one of them have got any, like, it's not like they've got any real big alternatives, so why not make Janabek and Lara? Fantastic fight. All right, Carl. Callum Smith was offered the Opatai fight before he fought Zerdo, and he flat out ducked it. Just like Riapor and Masternak, no one wants to fight Jai. I don't blame him. Yeah, it's another good call there, Carl. This is the thing, again, defending Jai. It's not Jai's decision not to fight the best out there. Just for whatever reason, the fights just aren't coming together. If you listen to Eddie Hearn, you listen to Mick Francis, you listen to Jai Pataya, they want the biggest fights out there. And if Eddie Hearn sort of can't get the fights done, then you probably got to put it onto the other parties. I certainly don't blame Jai, for sure. Carl says, can't wait to see Virgil Ortiz's next fight. Geez, that guy is good. Well, who's he going to fight? Some really good fights out there. So at 154, so where's he rated at the moment? So he's the WBC interim champion. So would he maybe fight Fundora? What a fight that would be. Although Fundora's with PBC, I'm not sure how all that works in with the Saudis and everything else. Virgil Ortiz with Golden Boy as well. Who knows? But I think Ortiz would beat Fundora. Crawford's out of the equation. Geez, the fight. I think the fight we want to see at 154, though, it's Virgil Ortiz and Bakram Murtazaliev, isn't it? That is the fight. So who knows? Maybe that's the fight. Bakram's looking for a test. Virgil Ortiz is coming off his last win over Madrimov, although I think Oscar De La Hoya did say that he wasn't keen on that fight next. But geez, down the track, what a fight that would be. Aris Athens, I hope I got that right, mate. He still drops the left hand and should sit a little low. This is about Tim. Yeah, that's what I said, mate. You need to get low when you go to the body. I think when you say drops the left hand, I think you mean the right hand. When he goes to the body, he does actually. I mean, you got to drop the left to throw the left hand to the body. But when he goes to the body with that left rip to the body, yeah, he doesn't bend the front knee, or didn't anyway in that fight. And the right hand come down, and that's how he got caught. So yeah, you need to bend that front knee. Motorsport, Tim watched the fight and now his mistake, he said, and knows his mistake. Okay, he said, that's cool. Mark, Tim said he's watched it now and his problem was he did go out there like a tool. Yeah, well, we'll see on Sunday. All right, Andy, it seems Top Rank isn't putting much effort into promoting Janabek, sadly. Adames or Lara not exactly making moves to try and unify either. Maybe Janabek should go to Eddie. He needs to do something, Andy. I'm with you. I think he's 30, 31 as well now, Janabek. He needs to get his career going or else it's going to be over in an instant. I'm with you, though, as far as Top Rank goes. Look, I'll just have a quick look at his record because the fight I saw him fight when and Jason Maloney beat Astrolabrio in was it Stockton. He knocked out some other guy there too. He wasn't much chop. So let's go back through his last few fights just quickly. Janabek. So he's fighting this other guy this weekend who has a 14-0 record but fought nobody. Mikhailovic should not have been in a world title fight. I don't think he's even anywhere remotely world level, let alone fighting a killer like Janabek. Before that was Vincenzo Gualtieri, who again was 21-0-1 but hadn't fought anybody. Stephen Butler, 32-3-1, still a nobody. Denzel Bentley, 17-1-1. What was the fight that I saw him fight then? That must have been it then. That must have been Stephen Butler. Yeah, second round knockout. Yeah, he shouldn't have been in the ring, Stephen Butler. That was definitely one side. Before that, Denzel Bentley, so he hasn't really fought anybody of note. Has Janabek Alam Kanuli, 16-0, 11 knockouts. He's been a pro since 2016. So he's been a pro for 9 years and had 16 fights. So just not enough. And I'm just looking at his age there. It doesn't actually say it on there, I don't think. No, they haven't put it on there. Yeah, he's got to get himself going. And you're right, Andy, going to one of those, like an Eddie Hearn or whoever, makes a lot of sense. I mean, the fact that Top Rank allowed Janabek to come to Australia and fight in front of about 200 people on a rushed card against a guy that no one had heard of and probably won't hear of after that fight in Mikhailovic, that shows me that he's not high on the list of priorities. And I just think he's such an exciting fighter. The fights that he could have at middleweight, I mean, those two, of course, Adames and Lara are the big ones. Who else is there? Probably not a lot. I mean, they could maybe look at the winner of Eubank Jr. and Ben. Who else is there? Shane Mosley, not that he's much chop either. Amo Williams could be a good fight for him. And apart from that, not a lot. But geez, wouldn't you be thinking they'd be just pushing for that Lara fight? It's not like he's got opponents beating down the door either, or any options has Lara. So, yeah, I'm with you there, Andy. It just seems that top rank just don't give a shit, and they should, because all their top talent's been poached by other promoters, and they're just withering on the vine at the moment. Top rank, so you'd think they'd be trying to get the guys some good fights, but obviously not Janabek. And you wonder why they sign these guys, don't you? They just intend just to have them fight just C and D graders the whole career. It just doesn't make sense. At least with Eddie and Oscar, he puts his guys in with risky fighters at some stage and wants them to pretty much ship up or ship out. So, all right, Carl. This will be Jai's second fight of 2025. When he gets Zerto, that'll be number 3 for the year. That's as active as no other champion alive, yeah. Used to just be the norm back in the day, Carl, but not anymore. Jules, Paulie Malignaggi keeps calling Zoo the most technical fighter he's seen from Australia. Do you agree with that sentiment? Why do we keep talking about Tim's technical flaws after the last fight? The most technical fighter. Certainly not last year, Jules. Yeah, no, to some extent, Paulie, look, I'm a fan of Paulie Malignaggi. I think he's very knowledgeable and knows what he's talking about. So I would think Liam Paro would have to be up there as well. And Jai Pataya, very technical as well. Jai can be hit. Liam, yeah, he'd probably be a close second to Tim Tszyu. I would think also that Jason Maloney's a very technical fighter as well. So Andy's a bit more sort of gung-ho, I suppose, but Jason's very calculated. But yeah, probably arguable that he's the most technical fighter from Australia. But we do have a tendency in Australia to have that mentality of, right, let's just lock horns and let's go. And it's been to our detriment a few times, hasn't it? So, but I think I still stand by his technical flaws in the last fight, though, Jules, because there was plenty of them. Drew, the perfect blueprint for the imperfect start for Tszyu in his Montezali of disaster could have been a page out of the book of Pacquiao Marquez fight number 1. Yeah, maybe he just backed himself, Drew, but either way, doesn't matter how he looked at it, it was a wrong call, wasn't it? WBC mandatory versus Virgil Ortiz or WBO mandatory versus Xander Zayas. Who's next for Fundora? Yeah, I forgot about Zayas, yes. Now, he is ranked pretty high, isn't he? Yeah, number 2 with the WBC, number 1 with the WBO. So, yeah, he will be next for Fundora. Good call there, Andy. Virgil Ortiz, yeah, I would think that Virgil will probably have a fight before that. And I think Fundora might be next for him, you would think. I mean, so many variables in that division. But yeah, I think it'll be, although Fundora didn't, I know they did a little bit of a get-together in the ring after the fight, but apparently Fundora and Samson Lukovic went a little bit cold in the change rooms against Zayas. So maybe it's, who knows, but I think it will be Zayas at the end of the day, and then you would think that Virgil Ortiz will fight another fight, and then maybe those two will fight in a world title fight after that. But so many great fights at 154. What's that, OG? Lights out. George just said Hitchens in June. Yeah, June 21st, OG. Looks like in New York. I'm not sure. I haven't been on socials in the last couple of hours, but if it's just been released, then that's fine. But it was definitely going to be June 21st, and I thought it was in New York. So if it's not New York, let us know if it's somewhere else. Carl, Virgil destroys Xander. That kid ain't ready for Virgil. No way, Carl. Look, the strange thing is Xander Zayas is probably a chance against Sebastian Fundora, but I'd be keeping him well away from Virgil Ortiz at the moment. Try to pronounce that Janabek opponent again, Lynden. All right, I'll have a crack at it. I'm game. All right, here you go. Anuel Ngamasengu. There you go. There's my my one crack at it. All right, Mark. Cuss trained Mike Tyson to bite his glove in training so he keeps his hand up. Saw it explained on Hajime no Ippo, whatever the hell that is. That's a YouTube show, is it? So maybe he didn't do it much in a fight, but he does it. He does do it since he pretty much started. Yeah, I'm not sure, Mark. I've seen pretty much every single Mike Tyson fight. I don't think I've ever seen him bite a glove. Obviously, I might be wrong, but he might do it in training. I've never seen him do it in a fight. I know he's always put the gloves up nice and high, up to his chin. I've never seen him actually bite the thumb though. So maybe I'm wrong, but as I said, I've seen every single one of his fights. I've never seen him do it. What's that there, Jules? Thoughts on Connor Wallace's opponent for May 13? I know there's a bottleneck at the top of the division, but I feel like it's consistently deja vu with these types of opponents. Yeah, look, I think this is another case, Jules, of Connor Wallace is keeping busy. Now he's fighting, was that the Frenchman, wasn't it? Someone Colin. Or Colin, however we pronounce it. I think French being Colin. Or Colin. Yeah, Dylan Colin. So he's 14-1. Coming off that one loss, by the way. A 10-round decision loss to Daniel Lapin. That was in December. And that was on a Riyadh card. Hang on. I must have seen him fight, surely. That was on... it was on the Usyk Fury card. There you go. I missed seeing him on that. Must have been on nice and early. Okay. Yeah, look. I can't remember seeing him fight, if I'm being honest, Jules. I'll make sure I'll check him out on YouTube. But, look... I think it's a little bit of treading water for Connor Wallace. There's some big stakes for him later in the year. I know with the light heavyweights at the moment, at 175s, you've got Bivol and Beterbiev and Benavides and whoever else thrown in there as well. Cullen Smith's now in there as well. So, yeah, look, he's going to have to wait his turn. But if it all goes maybe to the plan, they're hoping it will be that there's a bit of kerfuffle with who's fighting who for the belts, and Bivol happens to get stripped by one or two of the belts that Connor Wallace is there to pounce. Maybe that's what they're banking on, and they just want to keep busy in the meantime. So at the moment, Connor Wallace is ranked number 2 with the IBF. He's not ranked with the WBA. What is going on with the WBA? He's ranked 6 by the WBC, and he's not ranked. He's ranked number 7 with the WBO. So you would think if the WBC strip Bivol for not fighting Benavides, Beterbiev is out, Morel is out, he's ranked number 2. He'd have to, Benavides would fight Albert Ramirez. But look, you just don't know. But what I'm trying to say is Connor Wallace just trying to keep busy, and that's all he's got to do. There's no use fighting those other top liners if you're that highly ranked and you're that close to a world title shot. So I haven't got a problem with it, but I'll have to check out his opponent, Jules. I'm assuming they're not going to be, or he's not going to be, a world beater, put it that way. Tommy Ruckus, I feel Janabek could clean out the division. He's in his prime and needs to cash in. I think he beats all of them, Tommy, and that was my thoughts the other day when Australian Boxing Central said about Michael Zarafa that he could be in line for a world title shot. Now, the only divisions Michael's ranked in is the WBA and WBO, and he's already been beaten by Lara, so Janabek makes all the sense. So I really fear for Michael if that is the case, fighting Janabek. I think that would end very badly for Michael. But again, full credit to him if he takes the fight. But he's got to cash in now, Tommy. I mean, look, when you've got opponents at middleweight, I mean, you've got Adames and Lara right there. Why not fight them? Not so much. Maybe you could fight Hamza Shiraz if the Adames rematch doesn't come about. Not much outside of that. Or go up to super middleweight. He's got Canelo up there. What a fight that would be. He's got Mbili, he's got Pacheco, he's got Belunga, he's got Cutler Plant, some good names up there to fight. So, but he needs to start now, because if he doesn't, he's going to be 33, 34 pretty soon, career over, and it'll be another case of what if. G'day, Bacon and Eggs. How are you, mate? Welcome to the show. There's Batman Boxing. How are you there, mate? Great to have you along. All right, Andy says, in my opinion, Fundora should honour WBC mandatory first, and very likely we hear, and the new Virgil beats Fundora, then fights Xander. Yeah, that would be good as well. I think Virgil beats them both anyway, Andy. I think he knocks Fundora out. And Xander, look, he's young, he's enthusiastic, he's got some good skills. Maybe he might not be able to knock Xander out, but I think he'd still get the win over him as well. Virgil Ortiz for me is the number one 154 pounder. Now that Crawford's gone, of course. Maybe if Charlo comes back, he's another one we've got to throw in the mix. Just some great fights there. All right, Carl. PBC don't want to risk a belt against Oscar's big dog. No, they don't, Carl. Mutzi says Ortiz would pump Fundora. Yes, he would. And he says, but we might actually see Janabek versus Mick Zarafa after this next fight. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Does Michael Zarafa stand a chance against Janabek Alan Canula? Now, I hate to be, the pessimist out there. I just think that's just knockout material, that is. I just think, and full credit to Michael Zarafa, by the way. I know I always seem like I'm having a crack at him, and I said the other day in Walking Boxing, I admire that he always backs up, he always comes back from a loss, and always gets back on the horse, and I admire that about him, but I just don't think he stands a chance against Janabek. Look, I think we might have been drawn into a little bit of a false sense of security of Janabek's performance over Mikhailovic. But I think if you look at that fight carefully, that fight could have been over in the second round, which it probably should have been. And I think after that, Janabek just went through the motions. Maybe, a bit of jet lag as well. I think he only arrived in Australia the day before the weigh-in, which is just crazy. So I think if you get a focused, motivated, ready to go Janabek, I just think it could spell trouble for Zarafa. But again, credit for him for taking the fight. What's that, Carl? Yeah, Nikita, he's rated higher than Tim. He is. So at 154, Nikita is ranked. Where was he? Well, Nikita, he was ranked with the IBF. He's not now, or is he? No. Tim is 10. Nikita is 15. In the WBO, Nikita is 12, and Tim's not ranked. So we'll call it a draw anyway. Jules, how did we get Mikhailovic versus Wells before Hardman? Good question, Jules. I heard that Hardman was offered the fight, but the money was just laughable, and I don't blame him. You got to know your worth. And look, it is a dangerous fight for Mikhailovic. Again, I think Wells is a live chance in that fight. I don't rate Mikhailovic at all. Or I won't say at all, that's a bit unfair, but I think Blake Wells can fight. So I think the upset is well on the cards, but I just think it'd be a travesty if Isaac Hardman was lost to the sport over something as trivial as getting decent money. Now, I don't think he's the type of guy that wants overs. He just wants to be paid properly. But the problem is when you're at the whim of a promoter who holds all the aces. You pretty much got to do what you're told, and it's a tough one. I mean, these guys sacrifice everything. If they've got to put food on the table, they've got to take time off from work if they have a job at all. It's a tough gig. I know we all get caught up in all the millions of dollars that the top liners make. Well, someone like an Isaac Harmon's sort of in purgatory almost, in between everything of the really big money and the piss poor money. So yeah, it's a tough game sometimes. Drew, I really wish the women's boxing would be 3-minute rounds to truly cash in on its own potential, improving standard of women's boxing and all-round future financial conditions for women. Yeah, I agree to some extent, Drew. I think what they definitely should do for world title fights is at least make them 12-2s for starters. Make them 12-2s. If you want to keep them 2-minute rounds for the time being, that's fine, but make them 12-2s. 3 rounds preferably. I sort of understand sometimes why they don't. I know there's all sorts of studies, and I don't get it, but I don't know. Yeah, they've got the reasons why they don't have 3-minute rounds now. But as I said, mate, I just think at least do 12-2s and then see how it goes, and then look at 3s after that. Mule says Zarafa is a bum for Janabek, so that better not be the fight. Yeah. Glenn says to Mule, you got anything positive to say about anyone? Maybe he's just having a bad day. Tommy, Janabek versus Zarafa. Is there any chance of it happening in Victoria, though? Yeah, well, they were talking about doing a big event in Victoria, Tommy. It was No Limit, and that makes all the sense in the world. The only issue that they've got with Michael, and I said this again on one of the Walking Boxing episodes, is that Michael isn't a big draw, and even in Victoria where he's from. And I promoted Michael a couple of times. I know that was a long time ago, but he's not a big draw. And you got to remember, say in Victoria, I don't think, or there's a lot of people, look, whether you like Michael or not, doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, you got to rely on those people, whether they're fans or not fans, who's going to turn up to see him fight, who's going to tune in on pay-per-view. And I just think live, I really think they'd struggle to get 3,000 or 4,000 to an event with Michael, even if it is a world title fight. And I think the pay-per-view numbers would be low because I think a lot of people, and I see it all the time on my feeds and the comments and everything else, people saying I'm not spending 1 cent on that guy. Now, whether, again, you like him or not, it's not really the issue. It's whether you're prepared to fork out money. And there's just a lot of people who say they won't fork out the money. And that's why I just don't think it works. In Victoria would be great, but I don't think it really matters where they put the fight. I'm just not sure whether the Aussies will get behind Michael. They'd need to have like a Nikita on the undercard or something like that for the pay-per-view to sell. I don't know, that's unfair, but it's just been real. And I just don't think Mike was a big enough draw, live or on pay-per-view. Yes, he stirs people up. Yes, he gets people worked up in the comments. They all love debating about his worth and everything, but at the end of the day, I just don't think he's a big draw either live or on pay-per-view. That's just my opinion. And Janabek's not exactly Keith Thurman, is he? Coming out here and yapping it up. I mean, we barely got a word out of him against Mikhailovich. That would be a tough sell. I think you get Michael trying his best to rile Janabek up. Janabek sitting there saying, what's the hell this guy talking about? And, his team doing all the translating. As a fight, I love the fight. I just don't think it's going to be a sell. Anyway, Carl says Janabek murks Zarafa really fast if he's switched on. What's that, Mule? Janabek Adames, that's a better matchup. Yeah, I'm still thinking Janabek and Lara would be a good fight too, Mule. Although Adames would be a ripper as well. Mule says Zarafa is a domestic level fighter. It's time for Janabek to up the competition. Enough is enough, boxing fans. Yeah, no, I do agree with you on that, Mule. And look, the thing is, you got to remember, even though we're all familiar with Michael Zarafa and he's a big-ish name here in Australia, overseas the care factor in Michael is zero. And I don't like to be heaping it on Michael because he's out there doing his best, but the reality is overseas it's Michael who, that guy that got knocked out by Lara. That's really how he's perceived. Whether that's fair or not, that's just the way it is. But Janabek will not get a lot of praise for fighting Michael Zarafa overseas. It'll be, you're kidding. This guy gets demolished by Lara in 2 rounds, and now he's got another world title shot a year later. There'll be a lot of unhappy people about that. But I'm with you, Mule. Janabek needs to step up. Tommy says, yep, Janabek would be a step up from Lara, and we saw how that ended. Yes, we did. But he's a star, and I want him to come to Australia. I'd love it too, Tommy. All right, Julian. Nikita seems to be emotionally devastated after Tim's loss. Remember, it was Nikita who had the brains to throw the towel in. Yeah, he did. I'm not sure whether that was actually Nikita, Julian, that actually decided to throw the towel in himself. I've got a feeling, I don't know this is a fact, I've got a feeling Nikita had the towel, and I'm hoping this is the way it went anyway, that Nikita had the towel over his shoulder, and it was Uncle Igor who said to Nikita, throw the towel in, and he's thrown it in. I'm not sure whether he did it off his own accord. But I'll still stand by my statement that what the hell was anyone apart from Uncle Igor doing having the towel in the hand in the first place? You would have thought after the second round, with what transpired in that round, that in the back of Igor's mind it would have been right. It's going to be hard to come back from that. If he gets rocked again or dropped, that towel's coming straight in. So you would have thought that Uncle Igor would have had the towel at the ready. And in my opinion, as soon as Tim hit the deck in the third round, at the start, whatever it was, a minute or whatever into the round, the towel should have come in straight away. And it didn't, which I still can't get my head around. Should have went in straight away, and even the referee should have stopped it right there and then. But he got up, he took a lot of punches he shouldn't have taken, and it was then Nikita who threw the towel in. But again, was it Nikita who threw it in, or Igor saying to Nikita, throw the towel in? But it doesn't matter either way. Igor should have had the towel in his hand, and he be the one to throw the towel in. Batman says, I'm expecting a big performance from Torres. Yeah, I think he gets the job done, Batman, but it'll be his biggest test yet for sure. What's that, Mule? I'm going. I got Keith in 6 over Tim. Yep, that's cool. And yes, you're a big Keith Thurman guy. Wouldn't have known that by your comments. Interesting interview by Jai McAllister with Nikita, just released, saying Igor wanted to stop the fight before Nikita threw the towel in. Interesting. Well, there you go. That just pretty much backs up what I said. But again, why did he not have the towel in his own hand, Daniel? Igor should have had the towel in his hand ready to go. So it's one thing to say to Nikita to throw the towel in. The chief second is the chief second, and it should have been his responsibility. Anyway, Jules, Sam Goodman pay-per-view. Is he still a pay-per-view star now that he's miles away from a belt? Was he ever? Is he still a pay-per-view star? Was he ever a pay-per-view star, Jules? That is the question. I would think not. Geez, I would have loved to have seen the numbers for Sam's fight with Mark Schliebs. If it got to 1,000 buys, I'd be staggered. But no, Jules, he's not a pay-per-view star. Definitely world-class. Make no mistake about it. Is he as good as maybe the top 3 or 4 in the division? Absolutely not, but he's still around the mark. So, again, you're in this for a long time, or a short time, I should say, and it's a very difficult sport, so good luck to him with what he's going to do. But a pay-per-view star, no. Tommy, we saw a version of Keith that wasn't under any real pressure. I think Tim would give him a lot more to think about. Agree 100% there, Tommy. Mule, after Keith closes the book on Tim Tszyu, he's going to walk down the street and stop Nikita Tszyu too. I think you like to get people rolled up a bit there, Mule. You've come to the right place, mate. All right, Andy, I understand fighters talk trash to sell fights, but to be honest, I prefer the respectful approach. Maybe it's just me looking at boxing purely as a sport. Regardless, only what happens in the ring matters. I'm with you, Andy. I'm old school as well, mate. Tim smashes Thurman, says Batman. I still think he beats either in a rematch also. Yep. Andy, and trash talking looks bad if you take an L, each to their own, I guess. Yeah, I don't like it, Andy. Look, again, I know I'm old-fashioned, but I love to see the respectful guys. I know sometimes you can get a little bit heated. I get that. But they back it up in the ring. And, I mean, I know we used to see it with Floyd and Oscar to an extent and all the rest of them. But at least they sort of kept it to like civil to some extent. These days have just gone way over the line, and I just don't like it. Take me back to the 80s and 90s, Andy. I'll be there in a flash. What's that? No, I've looked at that one. All right, Mule. Trash talking is what you've grown up with. Look at Ali, Mike Tyson, Mayweather, Tyson Fury. I don't think Mike Tyson ever really trash talked. There might have been a bit of aggression showing. Mayweather, definitely. Tyson Fury, yeah, but I think he was just more of a laugh, Tyson Fury. I think he just liked to entertain everybody. But these days, it's just crossed the line of that banter and a bit of back and forth to just being downright, disrespectful and classless and, all these young guys. Look, maybe I'm just a relic, I suppose, but those guys did it, but in a different way entirely. They built the fight up, not had this personal vendetta and personal war with the people they were fighting. They did it to build the event, not settle their little scores amongst it. They're petty little scores, by the way. Who's got more social media hits and who's rooting someone's girlfriend or something? I mean, it's just ridiculous. All right, Batman. Spencer's beating against Ramos was worse than Tim's, in my opinion. Joey was left in far too long. Good point, Batman. No one's actually brought that up. Jesus Ramos Jr. really gives Spencer a beatdown. So, yeah, good call. Although, how many fights has he had since then? I'll type that in here. I'm not sure whether I've got to put Joseph or Joey. Looks like I'm going to have to put Joseph. Oh, no, there is. So that was 3 or 4 fights ago. He's had 3 wins since then. So he's beaten a guy who was 11 wins, 24 losses, and 4 draws. He won a 6-round decision in that fight. That was in December 2023. Then he fought Jaina Gonzalez, who was 21-6-1. Yeah, good win there. And then a 10-round decision, coming off a 10-round decision over Miguel Angel Hernandez, who was 9-0. So, yeah, that was only 3 months ago too. So, yeah, at least we've seen 3 fights since that beating Batman, but Tim Tszyu is certainly going to give him a lot more than those 3 opponents have, that's for sure. Mule says Tim Tszyu was talking, saying Bakram was a tune-up fighter. Yeah, well, I don't think he'll be saying that ever again, Mule. Cal Jane, hope Usyk fights Parker. Let's hope so, Cal Jane. That is the fight that should be made. Forget about Dubois for now. Fight Parker, and then the winner fights Dubois. Because you've got to remember as well, the fact that, regardless of the circumstances, Dubois pulled out of the fight with Parker. So, in my opinion, Parker should go to the front of the line. He did everything right. He still fronted up to fight Bacoli, but the fact that he was ready to go, done all the work, and it was Dubois who pulled out, no matter the reason, Parker should go to that number 1 spot in front of Dubois. Carl, can't believe Janabek flew to Australia on weigh-in day. Wow, and flew out the day after he destroyed Mikhailovich. Yeah, very quick trip, wasn't it? 2 or 3 days. It's crazy. Andy, Thurman looked impressive versus Brock, but let's be honest, Brock isn't world level and Tim has been successful at world level. We'll see. I really wanted to see Thurman versus Spence once upon a time. Yeah, don't think that's going to happen anytime, Andy, but I agree with you there. What's that, Drew? I heard the world's dumbest resold boxing take on a podcast recently. You have to really beat the champ to be the champ. Sorry, but a football teams only need to win 1-0, not 2-0 to win. Yeah, no, it's a good call. Yep. Yeah, I think obviously boxing's a little bit different to football, but what's it there? So you have to really beat the champ to be the champ. Well, yeah, well, if you beat the champ and take the belt, well, you become the champion, don't you? But it's however you interpret it, I suppose. Andy, Usyk versus Dubois in negotiations, I'm sure. Yes, I think you're right there, Andy. Naz, will you be heading up for Jai's fight? Would be good to see another few walking boxings with Ronnie. Yeah, we'll see, Naz. I've just had a fair bit on lately. When is it? May, isn't it? So still a couple of months away, or 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it is. I'll see how we go, Naz. But I'm not guaranteeing them. I don't think Ronnie can get up there either. I think he's just come back from the Gold Coast after being up there for a month or so. But we'll see. We'll see. Batman. I got tickets to Inaway easily. They have a non-Japanese ticket form on Ohasi boxing page on it. Okay, cool. That's good to know. Thanks, Batman. Oh, on the Instagram, is it? Batman likes the name The Soul Taker. Tim the Tiger Zoo. Don't mind that one. I don't mind that. The Shih Tzu. Not bad. Not bad. Shiraz moving up to 168. Yeah, it makes sense. Jules, Janabek's performance is one of the coldest we've seen by an international in Australia. It was cold, all right. No emotion whatsoever. He did exactly the same when I saw him in Stockton, Jules. Just not one bit of emotion, mate. It was pretty scary. And the thing is, when he goes out there, he's just a beast when he gets rolling. Andy, Timmy the Tiger versus Jamal Lions only Charlo will still be good to see in the future. Jamal is actually Iron Man, but Charlie's used to always say Lions only. Yes, don't mind Timmy the Tiger. Will be Terrible Tim. Might be another one. Terrible Tim Zoo. Andy, Virgil don't want Barkram, so I'd say we should get Barkram versus Bolachuk. That would be lit. Yeah, that would be a good fight. Jules, do you think it's wise that Tim has to keep fielding questions about his team and his dad in the build-up? A bit of history repeating. Seems no limit. Haven't learned. All that matters is pay-per-view dollars. Yeah, that's another good call, Jules. Especially when he's being interviewed by, well, you think Fox Sports, he could easily have a word to them beforehand. The management or No Limit could say, hey, look, can you just lay off all this stuff about Thurman and what happened in the other fight and just focus on this fight? They could definitely do it with the social media guys. They could say, hey, if you want to interview with me, this is, I know it's a little bit diva-ish, but I wouldn't blame Tim if he said to say, it's a Jay McAllister out there who's one of the best in the business and interviewing. If he said to him, hey, mate, happy to give you an interview, but can we just keep it to the fight? I'm not worried about the past. I'm not worried about the future with Thurman. I just want to focus on this fight. I'll answer any question you want about this fight coming up, but just lay off what happened in Florida and the Thurman fight. I want to focus on this. I'm sure Jay would say, yep, no problem. And if he didn't, well, he could have just cut the interview short and never give him an interview again. Because these social media guys, they need someone like a Tim Zoo or else they've got no content, do they? So, Jules. Hang on, what do we got there? Dennis. Hang on, no. Jules. It's a simple. Is it as simple that Janabek is hard to match and doesn't have any fans outside Central Asia? Lack of English can't help, but Triple G did it. Yeah. Yeah, no, look, no, Jules, because I reckon if Top Rank were the promoters we all think they are, they should be able to market Janabek. He's very, very marketable as the way he fights. There's plenty of other fighters that haven't had the best personality and don't speak English too well, and you know they've managed to be stars. I mean, look at someone like Inoue. I know he's massively popular in Japan, but he sort of gives off the same vibes outside of Japan. Doesn't smile. I don't think speaks English or doesn't when he gets interviewed anyway, and doesn't give a lot away, but he can fight. So, and we've been all attracted to Inoue. So I reckon they could market Janabek. I just think Top Rank have decided just put him over there and fulfill his contract and keep him out of trouble. But yeah, I don't know why they would have bothered signing him if that was the case. Dennis, I don't mind the name Shih Tzu for Tim, although the definition of a Shih Tzu is a zoo with no animals. Yes, it is, Dennis. Yes, good spin on it there. The way Zoo was catching and countering against Harrison was masterful at points. Yeah, well, he's shown he can do it, Batman. Tim's nickname, what about Thunder from Down Under? Yeah, well, maybe. It has been used a few times, motorsport, but it's, I don't know. There's lots of different ones out there, but I think the Thunder from Down Under has been used numerous times, mate, so... Andy, I must admit, after the disrespect, I actually wanted Janabek to humble Mikhailovich. I shake my head. I did too, Andy. I actually wanted him to finish it in the second round. I was a bit disappointed that he took him 9 rounds to get him out of there, but it was pretty obvious what was happening, wasn't it? Jules, I don't think Fundora looked that flash. Literally the only time he has ever boxed was versus Tim. Well, it's a lot easier, Jules, when you're fighting a guy with a blindfold on, isn't it? And he still only won a split decision. All right, Batman. I agree Xander would lose to Virgil, but they did agree to take the fight. Okay, yeah, no, they did. Did you hear that Bob Arum and Al Heyman will work together? I did hear that, Carl. I actually saw an interview with Bob Arum, and he said exactly that. He said, we're more than happy to work with PBC. They've got good fighters. We've got good fighters. So we're happy to work with them, which is a good sign. And maybe... with what's going on over in Saudi, you will probably see the Bob Arums and Al Heymans and Golden Boys and all those, and maybe Eddie Hearn. If Turki Al Sheikh's had enough of those guys, maybe they won't have a choice but to work together, and maybe they can let the TKO stuff do their own thing, and they can work in conjunction with each other and still make some good fights. But I did see that, Carl, yes. Who's it looking like for Liam Paro? John Manu might be a good one if they're looking at a domestic opponent. Yeah, I think John Manu would be up for it, Naz, but I reckon they'll be looking at a bit of a soft touch international, mate. I reckon that might be the go. Let's hope not. I'd love it for Liam Paro to fight John Manu, but yeah, I'm sure at this stage Liam Paro will probably look at John Manu as being down the track and not worthy of a fight with the former world champion. And it's a risky fight, by the way. And I think if Liam's looking to rebuild and get a win under his belt, John Manu is probably not the type of opponent you want to be coming up against, a young, hungry fighter who wants his shot. Drew, no matter which way you slice it, Nikita's face first leaky defence and second, third tier level has had him brought along slowly. How long do you think it will be for a potential Nikita title fight? Well, that's a good question, Drew. I don't think he's anywhere near it at the moment, mate. Nowhere near it. He's got to work on a lot of deficiencies, Nikita. And I love the guy. I reckon he's fantastic. His personality, he can definitely fight, but he gets sucked into slugfest way too often. He doesn't know how to regroup. He just, if in doubt, if he's tired or hurt, his only sort of defense, if you want to call it that at the moment, or only action, is to bite down in the mouth guard and fight back, and just gets him into more trouble. So until they arrest that, I just don't see him making it at international level, Drew. And look, I think he's got super talent, but it means nothing if your defense is leaky, and when you do get hurt or tired, you've got no defense mechanisms. You just go harder. It's a recipe for disaster, Drew. So let's hope this time away they've worked on a lot of those deficiencies. Batman says he'd favour Janabek over anyone at 160. Yes, I agree with that, mate. Lara, Janabek overdue by 3 years. Yep, certainly is, Carl. If Zarafa fights Janabek, he better bring a priest in his corner to give the last right, says Jack. Yeah, I don't think it ends well for Michael in that one. Jules, I think, I like Michael. I think he's great for boxing in this country, but personal opinion, I saw enough in one round of Tommy Brown fight to concern me. Janabek sends him into retirement, less a payday. Yeah, I'm thinking 4 or 5 rounds in that one, Jules. Batman, no chance for Zarafa against Janabek. Would be like Chisora getting his shot against Dubois. Just crazy. Yeah, that is very crazy, Batman. Can you believe that Chisora is a number 1 ranked IBF contender? Just blows my mind. With so many good heavyweights out there, they put Derek Chisora at number 1 with a win over Otto Whalen. Never a dull moment in the sanctioning bodies, is there? What's that, Andy? Good luck to our Aussie boy Mick Zarafa, but I'll be expecting Janabek by a stoppage. Yep. OG, Janabek would seriously give Emza or Zarafa a brain damage. Rich Porco, what is women's boxing? Yes, good one. Yeah. Carl, Michael would need the power couple Nonito and Rachel Donaire in his corner. I think he'd need both of them to put the gloves on and help him out a bit, Carl. What are your thoughts on Opatai's claim on Boris Pod that he didn't get a paycheck until 19 and 0? Could that be legit? Was he being facetious? Is that the word? Just hang on a sec there. I think that wouldn't be right, Jules. 19 and 0, he'd be getting paychecks right from the word go, mate. I didn't see or hear the whole interview, Jules. I did see grabs of it, but I didn't see that part. Just to say they didn't get a paycheck until 19 and 0. Nah, I don't think that's legit, mate. I don't think he'd be fighting for free. All right, Batman. He was known as a stripper that lost to Brooke, but over these parts. Who was that you're talking about there? Batman. Hang on. Oh, Chisora, is it? Jules. What about Saavedra versus Janabek? Is Endry with no limit now or just a new friend? I don't know what the go is there, Jules. There's got to be a reason why Saavedra's on this card. And unless it's to set up a fight, like you said, maybe it's... What way? I thought he was super middleweight. Is he middleweight? Hang on, let me have a... All right, so where's the card there? Saavedra. Oh, it's at middleweight. Okay, there you go. Or maybe it's Saavedra and Michael Zarafa, but that wouldn't make any sense when it comes to a world title, unless it's like an IBO title or something, or WBU or something, WBF. There's got to be a reason, Jules. There's got to be a reason why Saavedra is on this card. I just don't know what it is. There's got to be some sort of partnership going or something. But why would you put Saavedra on there against, where's Nielsen from? Somewhere in Europe, I'm gathering. From Denmark, 13 and 2. So, nothing about his record that stands out. So I don't know, mate. Your guess is as good as mine. All right, James Brown. Whether we think he can win or not, this is Zarafa's last shot. I think he can beat Janabek. I'm not a huge Janabek fan. Okay, well, there's always one. Yeah, we'll see, James. It is Michael's last shot. You can be guaranteed that. But you reckon he can beat Janabek? Okay. There you go. Mule's up for a bet. Batman, Goodman versus Tapales. Well, that would be a really good fight. Really good fight. I'm not sure Sam would want a fight like that in his first fight back, but I tell you, if they want to charge pay-per-view type of money, that's the fight I want to see. Marlon Tapalo is a very, very good fighter, former world champion, of course. That would be a ripper. Good test for Sam. Carl, Brock barely had a trainer, let alone a gym for the Thurman fight, yes, but he still took the fight, so... Batman agrees with Andy. 122 below. Inoue still plenty of good fights to be made once Inoue moves up or even now. Yeah, well, I've said it a few times, Batman. Why are we all asking Inoue to move up when he's got Junto Nakatani and Bam Rodriguez down there? I'll get through some of these comments. Remember, Tyson said he's going to eat Lennox's kids. But that wasn't him and Lennox Lewis just exchanging shit. Well, that was like an interview or something at a press conference, wasn't it? Or something like that. So that wasn't, like, it's just, as I said, I don't mind that sort of, well, it's not that I mind that type of talk. It's not great, is it? But that sort of talk's different to the way the current day stars, I mean, the way Tank Davis and Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia and all them carry on, it's just embarrassing. It really is. Jesus Ramos, another dark horse at 154 and in the PBC stable. Certainly the case there, Carl. And I still think he beat Erickson Lubin in that fight. And I think he'll come back. I mean, I'm not sure how many fights he's had since then, but he's back. So I'm with you there, mate. I think he's a dark horse at 154. I just want to have a look there for a sec. Oh, I just want to bring his record up here for a second. Probably not on there. All right. Yes, that is him. 23-1. So since the Lubin fight, he's had 3 wins. So against Johan Gonzalez, Jason Rosario, and Guido Scaram, I think it is. So that's good. So he's had 3 fights in about 18 months. So not too bad. But he is a dark horse, Carl. Hang on, I'll go back to Batman there. When he pulled out the Inoue fight, I thought my Japan trip was done. Thanks still to Kim stepping in. Yeah. Batman says, Parker is yet to fight Usyk. I feel they should do that first. Dubois can fight the winner. I agree, Batman. Carl, hang on. Didn't the WBO mandate Parker Usyk? I thought they were given 30 days to make the fight or it goes to purse bid. The sanctioning bodies are fighting back against TKO League. Your guess is as good as mine, Carl. I did see the WBO mandate. Or was it the No, it's not the IBF because that's Dubois. I did see that, but when's that mattered, Carl? Carl Ronnie's been living like a pimp on the Goldie. Yep. Explicit. Surprised Eddie Hearn hasn't announced Nishant Dev's next fight unless he will participate in the WBC Grand Prix. I don't really know much about him. Explicit. Fill us in. Batman, I know I've said it many times, but I do feel Tim was so unlucky in so many ways last year. Let's go, Zoo. Get back. Yeah, no, you're right. Obviously, the Fundora thing with the cup and then the Bakram fight shouldn't have probably been in the ring in hindsight with Bakram Murtazaliev, but hopefully he's learned from it, mate, and we see the results of that on Sunday. Tim the Phenom Zoo. Yeah, not bad. The nickname the Soul Taker was Ben Damon's doing. Always hated. Yeah, I don't like it. Timmy the Turtle. There you go. Triple T. Not bad, Carl. Team Tim Zoo. Yep. Yeah, his old man was a Thunder from Down Under. So was Jeff at one stage. Jeff Fennick. I remember it was his fight with Azuma Nelson. There was a Thunder from Down Under banners in the crowd. Batman, Triple G was far more marketable, including style, just all action, always delivered, especially take on the level of opposition. Janabek's been at a big drama show, yes. All right, we've got a couple more comments there, and then we've got about 7 minutes to go. Tim, the boxing kangaroo zoo, not bad. It's a shame Eubank Jr. Avoided Triple G like the play. That would have been a pretty good fight. Triple G would have iced him, I think. Janabek, decent talker on Twitter. To be fair, always going at someone. Him and Adames have exchanged about 300 tweets. Yeah, I don't really get on X too much. At all, if anything. Yeah, Batman, he knew it wasn't worth the beating. That's Eubank and Triple G. G'day, Carl. Yep, good to see Tim Zoo back. He certainly is, mate. I trademark the website now. Which one was that for, Tommy? Hang on, did I miss something there? David Jenkins. Is Ray Connolly still around? He will find the right name for Tim. No, I think he's passed away a few years ago, mate. Batman, the boxing, where says to Carl, true, he probably wouldn't be around these days, probably would have retired a few years back from the Damage series. Who's that about? Sorry, mate, I've missed that there. Sorry, we'll move on. Jules, Nikita's gas tank let him down in his last fight. From memory, first couple of rounds, he looked massively improved, but fell into old habits as he tired. Yeah, that's the problem, Jules. He tires or gets fatigued or gets hurt or whatever, and he just loses all composure, and then it's just a free-for-all. And, geez, if the Colin Mazzudias and the Daniel Creatis and the Ben Horns of the world are doing that to him, can you imagine him at the real elite level? So I hope he's used his time wisely and worked on his craft. What's that, Batman? Nikita is very exciting to watch, but his defence has me worried. He's been getting tagged with flush shots too often. Yep, I agree. Dubois interview was suspect. He took 22 days to respond as to why he didn't fight, and why isn't he screaming Joseph Parker's names? Make it make sense. I agree, Carl. No opponent has been set yet, but I hope it's not Dubois or prefer Francis for Chisora. Francis Ngannou, I'm assuming that would be an entertaining fight. Look, he is entertaining, Chisora, but there's no way he deserves a world title shot. No way. Jack Pierce says, who is Zarafa's manager? How does he get all these shots? Well, that's the thing, Jack. I'm with you there, mate. Who is his manager? Because whoever it is, he's had a few over the years, by the way. But whoever it is doing a ripper job, because he got iced by Lara in, two very, very uncompetitive rounds. Came back with a one-round, well, you call it a drama show with Tommy Brown. And then beats a D-level fighter on the last card. So, yeah, on the Brock Jarvis card, the Keith Thurman card. And he's all of a sudden in line for a world title shot. So, yeah, he's not a bad manager, whoever it is there, mate. Jules says, Tapala's got close ties with Australia. Even had an Aussie in his camp versus Inouye. Feel like that matchup could happen if Sam wanted it. But Tapala's was once a very dangerous fighter. Certainly was, Jules. Very, very good fighter is Tapala's. And that's a very good test for Sam. I think Sam wins the fight, but a good test for him either way. Yep, Carl. The Marrickville Mauler was the best. Yeah. I think the Marrickville Mauler was his official nickname. But there were a lot of people that used to call him the Thunder from Down Under. I think all the good fighters from Australia have been called the Thunder from Down Under at some stage, haven't they? And they always, when you're over there, they always get the Down Under song played by Men at Work. They always play that, whether the walkout or at the weigh-in or press conference, whatever. It always gets played. Dean Bray. Ooh, it's a football question. Watch the Blue Boys go this week. They are primed now. Many positives in the last game. We are on track now. Get on. I hope you're right, Dean. I haven't got much faith, I'm afraid. Sorry, mate. I think they get pumped by the Pies, but I hope you're right. Yep, Batman says, yeah, the manager is doing a great job for Zarafa. Carl, apparently Chisora is taking Dubois next. He wants him first. Then he'll focus on Usyk after that. Well, I think it was, how many years ago was it Usyk beat Chisora? Was it 2018 or something like that? Might have been a bit later. I can't remember. But he's already taken care of Chisora. He's had his shot. Get your 50th fight, mate, and off to the retirement home. All right, Anthony just saw Nikita interview. He revealed that Igor was going to stop the background fight in round 2, but Nikita asked to give Tim time to recover, so that is why he threw in the towel. Doesn't change, Anthony, that Igor should have still been the one to throw in the towel. Jack, everything about the No Limit Ben Damon Peter Bedell build up for Tim Tszyu is so bad and cringe, and I swear it went to his head and stuffed up his style, I'll say. I'm with you there, Jack, sorry. Yeah. I back up what you're saying there, mate. Peter Bedell, fair income. Batman, if it does happen, shame on anyone part of Chisora's team. Yeah, shame for anyone buying tickets, Batman. What would you pay to see that? Although it'll be entertaining, I suppose, but geez, should not happen. This is the Dubois fight. There's got to be a random nickname generator online to settle this. Well, let us know. What's that, Anthony? No Limit and managing Zarafa. I thought, no, they're promoting him, Anthony. He's got his own manager as well. Unless they're doing that as well. Although, yeah, I'm not sure. I know, was it Brendan, what's his name? Was doing it. What was his name? I can't remember. But I don't know, Anthony. But I know No Limit are his promoter, not his manager. Yeah, hope you get up there to Cairns, OG. We'll see, mate. Jack, I'll get a couple of more questions here. He really used to box a lot more and be very tactical. This is Tim, turned into a poor man's Triple G trying to blitz everyone. What's that, Thurko? G'day, Tim. Tim Taronga Zoo. Don't mind it. Triple T. Tim Taronga Zoo. Not bad. All right, last question. Daniel Foy. I hope I've got that right, Daniel. Jackson Murray versus Shazora would be a good fight. Yeah, what's going on with Jackson Murray? Haven't sort of heard much of him lately. When did he last fight? Let me just put that in before we go. I'm not that big a rap for Jackson Murray, but anyway, doesn't matter what I think. All right, so what is he, Jackson Murray? He is 7-0. Oh, there you go. So he just fought. Where did he fight? In Brisbane. He beat Napoti Dawadawa, who was 2-9. So really stepping up there, Daniel, is Jackson Murray. 2-9 was his opponent, and he won by first round knockout. So, yeah, there you go. All right, last one. Drew Keeley again. All right, does Brock Jarvis retire now that he's fully hit his ceiling in every way? I would like him to, Drew. I'm not quite sure where he goes to from here, mate. He gets hit way too much. I don't like the amount of punishment that I'm seeing him taking at the moment, mate. So he's got some decisions to make. I think it's very obvious to everyone that he's not a world-class fighter, whether he wants to remain as a domestic level fighter. I'm sure that he could fight, maybe the Joel Camilleri's and Isaac Hardmans of the world, the Colin Mazzudias, those types of guys. But I just think his time, was it a time as a world-class fighter? It was one fight, wasn't it? So, yeah, I'm not sure whether he'll be back, mate. So we'll see. Let's hope he puts his health above everything anyway. So, guys, that is going to do for tonight's show. Make sure you check out Every Day with the Walking Boxing. It's also on Spotify as well. I put it up every day now. Times might vary depending on where I am and what I've got to do, but it's on every day. And if you're listening after the fact of this episode on Spotify, thank you very much for listening as well. So, guys, that will do it. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next week when we'll be discussing the Tim Zoo card. Have a good one. See you guys.